lived. Apologies for the late start. I had very bad stomachache. But I am better now. I'm alive, and I'm ready to beat this game. This is the finale of our DLC Abuse Fire Emblem Engage Maddening Mode playthrough, where we focus solely on, well, not solely, but the primary focus of this run was the DLC rings and what their applications were in the game. And throughout the majority of the game, they were a resounding wonderful. They were all very, very good. Minus a couple of exceptions, which we'll talk about later at the end. Do that. Oh my god, I keep... Okay. That was the only thing I saw in my inventory I needed to change, really. Everything else should be pretty solid. I think we talked about Citrine not being able to one-tap Berserkers and Martial Masters on this map because they're either total HP pool plus... well, their total HP pool plus resistance is way too high for her to be able to one-shot them, so... yeah. But we do have her on the left here, ready to go. Probably have Ivy over this way, when I think about it. Yeah. We're gonna rally Spectrum on both Ivy and Kagetsu before we start the turn here. Alright, well, let's get started. We're gonna go through this hopefully pretty quick. Get this done. Oh, I guess I did just skip a whole bunch of like character-specific dialogue. Okay.
I'm honored.
Give me strong foes.
We have to make sure that we're not in range of Sombron, because he is pretty strong.
Devoted to you.
Kagetsu would still be in range of this guy.
Sorry, but victory is mine.
Go.
My pleasure.
Chi Adept we can't handle, so we can go here.
Emblem, engage! It is time to honor your contract.
Sage. Okay. That's significant magic damage on a stick there, so I think we're pretty happy about that. Everyone else isn't really doing anything for the first turn or so.
I'll do my best.
We could put someone up here like Amber with Storm's Eye and Chain Guard with Leer. Because he'll definitely still get attacked by these guys. But I don't think he deals enough damage to them to kill. Let's factor in the +3 damage from Leer, which would be 72 or 62 physical attack. Let's see, that would be 27. 27 times 2 is not nearly enough to kill these guys. Wonder if maybe we have a stronger axe than the convoy he could use that doubles. No. He would need like a forged silver axe, and I don't think I have one of those. Or a killer weapon of some sort to try and crit, but he doesn't have that either, so... actually, he'll have pretty respectable crit here, because he gets +20 crit with Storm's Eye, based on him being a backup unit. So he'll run up to about 52% crit. Versus these guys dodge, about 40% crit. It's pretty reliable to get 1 or 2 here. So we can bait Sombra on this turn if we want to. I say we should.
Whoa! Engage!
And with him using Storm's Eye, he can't be doubled. And with him not being able to be doubled...
Enough chit-chat!
We can put a Leer adjacent for Bonded Shield. She has 150 avoid, means these guys can barely touch her, so they'll definitely go for Amber.
Me? Okay.
Yeah. That's all there is to it, really.
Yes.
Since they'll come up this way, physical units deal with mages.
I'm ready. How mysterious.
Ready for anything. Don't worry. I can handle it.
You fought so hard, traveled so far.
Watch out!
Oh, crit! Boo! Perfect. Oh. Bye, Mr. Sage. Oh no. I guess it's Mrs. Sage.
Allow
Oh.
me to dazzle. I could use some tea after that.
We did calculate that. We did know that was Xaxes. Nice.
I will protect everyone.
Triple nice, I
I'm
guess.
ready for a rest. Care to join me? I could use some tea
Getting
after
some
that.
fat crits. There we go. Easy triple level boost on turn 1. Pretty good.
It's a terrible state of affairs.
Oh shit. This guy's in range. Oh, right, because we got smashed into range, so we'll have to move a little further. Duh. Damn it. She was like one of my first units moved, too. I'm gonna get a dance on her and go to the other side here. That way she can't be smashed into range. Or if I just go here... Oh no, she gets smashed into the rock and that breaks her and she gets killed by the other one. How fucking annoying. Alright. I guess we'll go around to the other side. I'm gonna summon
May
an
I
axe
call on
unit.
you?
The mage got fucking annihilated.
I wonder who will come to serve
Besides, we're summoning what's essentially an NPC. It's fitting that it's a green unit. Sure. Might be moderately helpful in some way. 54 defense, though. Holy Jesus. Oh wait, I suppose instead of doing that, we could have gone here and attacked him. That's too late for it now. Because it's a smash weapon. She's gonna get to attack first anyway.
I don't back down.
So, I have to wonder what the inspiration for Storm's Eye was. Is that an ability that Hector had in Heroes, or... 'Cause I know functionally nothing about Fire Emblem Heroes, so I have no idea.
You fought.
I'll protect you. I am ready for a rest. I could use some tea after that.
I will be a hero. Your luck's run out.
Oh, beautiful.
Watch out!
Nothing short of victory. You're no match for me.
I am ready for a rest.
Jeez.
Mediocre.
Sorry, my friend messaged me. He got some new stickers for his water bottle. And, they're a bit spicy. I'm a fan, personally.
Here we go.
Some more.
You shone like a jewel.
Probably not the best unit to get that kill on. Could have gotten it on Ivy or maybe even Mavier for Speed Taker. Might have been the play, but it is what it is. Holy shit. He absolutely fucking dumpsters Amber. Not fast enough to double, huh? 55. Or 35, excuse me. Kagetsu can. The rally.
I'll go first. Here we go.
Poor thing.
I finally got some speed. That's really nice. Why did speed taker not trigger? Because he didn't die. It's just a health bar. Okay. I'll figure it out.
I'll go first.
Have another.
We got the Luna proc and everything. Feels bad.
Here we go.
Have some more.
Perfect. Alright.
Allow me.
Done yet.
Out of my...
Summon in the dorks. Becoming a Dargon. Alright. Beat the emblems to weaken the barriers. And the emblems take, like, giga damage from their respective... Or, like, the summons take giga dam from their respective... nerds. Sigurd's Realm. Okay, so... We don't have
An invitation.
whoever is from Sigurd's Realm, so we should... Oh hey, it resets everything, including engage meters. So I want to do this to set Citrine to 1. Okay. Who are you? From Marth's Realm. Okay, so now we can test if Tiki does effective damage to him. The answer is no. She does not. However, Marth will. Do some good work there. So we can maybe weaken him with Alchrist. Alchrist can actually do damage to this unit because he has... It's a Berserker. Berserkers have no fucking stats. Barely any damage from the Luna trigger. Beautiful. More decks for him to trigger Luna with.
This win is ours! Don't mess with the steward!
Go.
I sense you, Shadow. I've defeated you before.
I'll go first!
Seems like a bit much, but we got there. Strength is good. He's not nearly as bulky as Kigetsu is, but good. Armored units, fucking Lance Wyverns, out of here with that shit. Uh, 38. So I put him about 50 defense, which is perfect. And with the arm adds, he'll be dragon effective, so that should be really good. He'll take a few damage per swing, like 5-ish, 10-ish per swing, somewhere around there. The difference between 5 and 10 per swing is a lot, don't get me wrong, but... Oh, hold on. Do we still have Ephraim out? We do. Does true damage work? No. Fine. Be that way. Sure. Okay. Yo, Nick. Thanks for the tier 3 resub for 24 months. 2 years. 2 years straight at tier 3. Much love, brother. Appreciate you. Welcome to the finale. Whoa. How you doing tonight, man? Every time I see her damage, I'm disappointed. Living the dream? Good to hear, dude. That's right, man. Feel that. We can stay here for the chain attacks. How fast is this guy? 36? Mavier's definitely not fast enough to double him. 6+ months. Yeah, but I've been streaming for not a lot of time every day, too. Something to consider. This is also my last run of it for a while, so... rejoice, I suppose. Lightning will do it on player phase, but not on enemy phase. Probably not 3 houses again, though. I've been wanting to do some, Yeah, true. You just show up and be like, please play 3 houses, and then I play 3 houses for like 2 years straight, and you're like, please stop playing 3 houses. Ah! But I wanted to do some Elden Ring randomizer runs, because the mod is like fully up and running, good to go. Like stable and everything too, so that's super good. So we got some bow action going here. Excalibur. Yeah, that's the same game you mentioned last time. But Elden Ring randomizers. I mean, I'll look into it. If it looks like a fine stream game, I play it on stream.
It's a terrible
Otherwise, I'll
state of
probably
affairs.
I don't know. I can play it on Discord with you or something sometime. Ooh. You can eke out a little more damage here. That'd be perfect. And then after this, we can start warping some units around.
Me first! Now you've done it! Why do you attempt to throw away your life?
Hortensia is such a good unit. Like, not because of her combat, but like... basically everything else. It's just so good. Okay, we need to get this guy down a little bit further. If only I did, like, a few more damage here. Kagetsu can't reach, but he could if we engage, but he doesn't do enough damage, I don't think. Yeah, he actually doesn't double this guy, which is absurd. He's got 40 speed. Alright, good luck in your match, dude. Thoron does a little more damage. Obscurite has a bit of crit. So if we hit him to 33, can Mavir kill him? Oh yeah, easily. Yeah, okay. Still getting him to 33. Veil. Oh, that accuracy is actually not that great. Hold on. Oh, it's okay. It's supports that we're doing it. Yeah, we're in the middle of 3D supports here.
I'll help!
Okay.
Me first!
Okay. Ivy's got the left side over there probably pretty well locked down. We're trying to stay out of range of Samron here, so she doesn't get fucking blasted by him. Onbreaker, Dark Spirit, yeah. Bring Kagetsu over here. Yes. I've not been looking at, like, where enemies are, so, like, this is... I see Dark Bishop, that's Leafs. Oh, we can... Oh, he's got the symbol here. Yeah. Leaf counts as effective. Okay, so... we can see based on that. So this one is... Celica? Yeah, so... Okay. Neither of which we have, so... we need to bring some other combat units over here, because Ivy's not just going to solo that guy. Well, she probably could, but she's not going to.
Mediocre. It's a terrible state of affairs.
Oh!
Take Let's
damage.
run out.
It's so much.
You're no match for me.
What a sweet spot right there. Taking 2 damage a swing.
Mediocre.
Oh, you get build now on the final map? Okay, guy. Uh, 37 AS. Oh. Holy shit, those Wolf Knights are fast. Jesus. Those are physics stabs, right? Yeah, I was sure. Fuck me, dude. Does this guy have 2 range of some sort? Will he switch to? No. Okay, so we should probably just attack at 1 range then. That way she can kill him on enemy phase.
It's a terrible state of affairs.
Just speed taker proc again because it's... it's really tanky. Couple shots of a skill trigger here.
I won't miss.
Beautiful. That makes this very easy. Cancer away from home dude. Excuse me. Good. More strength and speed is always welcome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we can go here. Got 42 AS though, so he's not going to double, but we can not quite kill with that. But Zelkov can help. Surely he gets one of these. There we go. Yeah, I'll go with this because I would really like to keep Houses Unite for a boss if I can. The whole Raging Storm into Houses Unite. It's a very powerful effect.
Witness my power.
We'll stay here. Alright, I guess we can just kind of chill here. These guys wait for stuff to spawn down here. We do need to kill these griffins. Oh my god, she can hurt the boss. We have a safe way of having her hurt the boss.
Here we go.
So... Quality time puts her in range of not fucking dying to Sombron. Right? Okay, hear me out here. then we just stand next to her with a Leer and hit her with like a heal staff for not a lot of HP every turn. And just let her kill Sombron little by little as we go.
Allow me.
Hear me out here. It could work. And we just hop in the convoy, get the weakest amount of healing that we can get. Which is probably just a heal staff. I don't think there's anything else. And Alir can stand there for like, ooh. There's a lot of bullshit going on over here, I just noticed. And we don't have not a lot of units to deal with it. Oh wait, we can Dark Inferno with the Hurricane Axe. Actually think the one at full health might be surviving? It's hard to tell. But oh, that's disgusting.
Time to play.
And I'm here for it. I think it's amazing, but it's so gross. Oh no, he's not surviving. Jesus Christ. Okay, that was really good. Fanny Bomb for a lot. She eats a counter. So if we can go here.
I'll go first. I will not be afraid.
We might have to dance with the goddess here to make sure that we can protect our units from this guy, because Excalibur on Hortensia is still a fair bit of damage. Let's see, it's 10 might, so an extra 20 damage. 64 minus 38. 34 minus 8. Technically she lives, actually, so maybe we don't have to do that, but Tamara might just get fucking one-tapped by this guy. Yeah, I think she does, actually. 20 AS. She definitely gets doubled. We can trade her something else she won't. Ooh. That's a Now we might have to just heal. You can't heal with Veil, so.
No hesitation.
Don't worry about me.
Few damage short. Well, we can do this, which will hex him, and then that'll kill.
Here we go.
Maybe all hits for 2. Feels good.
One more.
Sweep the leg, Alir. 2 damage and like no
Our
accuracy,
bonds are far
which is
stronger than destiny.
also good. Let's not do that. Oh, unfortunately, this probably doesn't work as well as I want it to, because as soon as Sombron hits the HP threshold, the physics stabs in the back are going to start healing him up. Oh, this one's moving to attack. That's good for me. God, their res is so high. That's the 20% res shred. And she's still not killing that guy. Oh, fuck. I was not prepared for Wolf Knights. Like, I can stop her from getting doubled, but these Wolf Knights are actually fucking rude. She's really tanky, at least. We can Astral Storm one of them for some damage. And then kill with Kagetsu. Actually, hold on. If I... Okay. Hang on. If I do this... So if I Astra Storm here, Kagetsu will kill with Houses Unite, but then we can't act again. So if I can kill him with Raging Storm, accuracy's pretty bad. But if I have Ivy standing right here, we can Cataclysm hitting here. Alright, hear me out. So we hit here with Ivy. Cataclysm hits all of them.
Are we done here?
Okay. Now they're weakened. Kagetsu can go here. Raging Storm. After the Astra Storm. Is that enough damage? That's 25 and 30, leaves him at 38. 42 is enough, yeah. So we go here, we have the accuracy bonus from being adjacent to Ivy. I feel like we do this first because he's going to get attacked regardless, and it lets Alchris get the kill for Speed Taker, however relevant that may wind up being. If it's relevant, cool. If it's not, we tried.
By my hand, I see you.
No Lunaprox.
Get stronger until
Bad,
no one
though.
can beat me.
We could also fly Zelkob up and dance for him and get him in there to kill one. So we might have him kill one of the Mystics here. But now, Kagetsu, he doesn't even have to engage. He can just kill with Tomahawk. Yeah, Tomahawk also gives him 2 range to deal with the other guys.
Witness my power.
He's got physical attack 43. He does a decent amount of damage to Ivy, but not enough to warrant me, like, panicking over it. These Elwind guys are going to be really obnoxious on Kagetsu, though. Kagetsu's also super tanky, so as long as I can kill one of them, we should be fine. So I think we are going to get Zelkov up here. We can maybe even kill with the rapier, that way he has higher avoid. That's factoring in Perceptive Plus, but these guys still have relatively low accuracy, since Ivy hit them with Cataclysm, which reduces their hit by 20. So, Zelkov should be safe here. Like, all my units, in theory, should be safe here.
To fight again.
So I don't think any of them died to 2 High Priests, or whatever. Martial Master and High Priest.
I'll go first.
She's dealing so much more damage here. She was dealing like 14 on her first attack. I'm not gonna complain about free damage. I'm just wondering. What's the difference here? Roy's giving her the goods. Wanna heal? You stay right there. You gotta keep that buff up after all. I'm gonna keep Amber around over here for grabbing that engage puddle. Zap this kid for
Here we go.
hexing purposes. And then we're gonna dunk on him with a big fat lightning. Volganon's more accurate. Feels bad. But look, I can say Axe Mage Knight here, Bobbier, paying off in dividends. He doesn't have that many maps to shine, and so far we've hit multiple maps where it's just like, oh man, we got these really bulky flyers. I'm not sure how we're gonna handle these. And it's just like Dark Inferno with the Hurricane Axe, and just fucking one-shots every single one of them. Like, it's so good.
I can help. Finished.
Now that's what I call abusing your effective weaponry. I've been waiting for the Randy crit from Citrine. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah, there's the heal on Sombron. And the heal on the other one. Oh, and it diffused. How rude.
For Brodia!
Yeah, then. What? Oh, attack. Oh, just open your item menu. Heal this man. Oh yeah, we get an air raid trigger. That was useful.
My prayers are with you. I won't let you do what you want.
Suppose we can dance for Kagetsu here. Get moving toward this bow knight. Oh, Ivy has that 20% res shred.
Allow me. I'll go first.
It's just breaking his little teepses. Boo. Magic and speed. That's all I need, baby.
Allow me.
Oh. Come on. Actually, I have enough to kill this guy now. Huh. We can swing on him with Tamara first, I think. No, he's not in the right spot. So I would need to go point here and canter back in range of her, so I guess we just did that wrong.
I'll go first.
Hey, landed the chain attack. Alright, we have higher hit rate this time.
I could help.
Oh shit. Okay. That's just missing regardless. Got it. do it the accurate way.
Allow me.
I wanted to use the engage weapons as
Poor
much
thing.
as possible, but accuracy is just so low, you know? We can hex this guy, for sure. Matter if we hit or not, still hexed. Okay. Do we get reinforcements this time? Oh shit. Old zombie's getting blasted. Oh, hell
I
yeah.
could use some tea after that.
We chunked off a full health bar before we even started killing stuff. Oh, we use Disintegrate on his next turn. Devastating attack forcibly cancels the engaged state of all units. Rude! Though most of my units are already out of their engaged state anyway, so... If it's just ending the state, that means all of my units that aren't in it should be fine. And we need to be recovering those units' engage meters anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's too far, so we can go up here. Sure, you can have that. Or make our way to this one down here with him. Dance Ivy into this one so that she can get back engaged. Chris just kind of chilling. Alright, we got 10% crit on Citrine. One would think we will see a critical at some point here. Oh, stair thing. Alright, we can rehex with Hortensia. Drop some fat fucking damage on this guy.
Our bonds are far stronger than destiny.
Who is this, by the way? It's Leafs, right? It's the final boss of Leafs game of fucking Bow Knight. It's a weird choice, I guess. Oh shit, the hatches are open. Do I have any way of healing Mavier if I attack? Same thing with Veil. Fire Breath's huge here. She survives 2 hits, so we can definitely do this. We can instruct all on Mavier. He'll probably be okay. Yeah, he'll be fine.
Here we go. Me too.
You know, I don't remember when or if we're supposed to get new enemies here, but I don't think we're going to be getting any reinforcements here. Can Tamara attack without, like, fucking flopping over? Yes, we can attack with something light enough that doesn't get her killed.
Stay focused.
So... how about a Lear?
Emblem Eternal!
Hell yeah, dude. That's actually a shit ton of damage. So maybe we do that after we, like, drop this health bar with Citrine.
Over here!
What's up, Kuroi?
Allow me. I can help.
We're doing it. We just hit 2 chain attacks, too. It's huge. I feel like this one should be more damage, but maybe we'll take it.
With the Divine Dragon, escape blast!
I don't think I saw that animation once. Holy fuck, Fram. Calm
A slight
down.
injury.
I'll help! I'm here!
This is my redemption. I believe I am in the right.
Hurricane Axe, good. You missed it, Kuroi. We one-shot a couple of Griffins with Dark Inferno Hurricane Axe hit earlier. It was fucking sick. But that was 130 damage just a second ago. Did he get beefier while I wasn't looking? Sus.
Got your back, all mine!
So I don't know if I bugged this somehow, or if I skipped the phase by taking off a health bar before chunking his shield off, but the second wave of nerds didn't spawn yet. I don't know if I'm forgetting something or not, but... this dude's dead.
Sleep now! Escape blast!
That seems pretty final to me. It's good. That took a lot less time than I thought, which is great because I started late today. But, also gives us plenty of time to talk about, like, the DLC stuff. And kind of like my thoughts, opinions on characters as well. I'm gonna let this kind of play in the background while I talk. First thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit, though, because I can't hear myself think over it. There we go. That should be a good level, I think. It's still pretty loud, but it's not, like, overbearing. The first thing I want to talk about is the new units that we tried. First and foremost, my standout ones were definitely... Ivy was way better this time around. Really, like... found out how good she was as a unit, and really just laid into that. Like, the fact that she just has decent speed, good bulk, flying, and magic, phenomenal traits. She really took off with Soren. No pun intended. You know what? Pun intended. Take that. I'm no coward. Yeah, Soren definitely really, really good for her. Like, overall, Ivy's obviously an S-tier unit already, and pairing her with Soren and letting her flare enemy phase with Speed Taker and Holdout was just brutal. Like, she was such a fantastic unit. She did need some stats propped up in the beginning, or even toward the end game there. She still needed, like, Rally Spectrum and Instruct All dances and stuff to get the speed thresholds to double, but when she was doubling, she was one-rounding and slaughtering the entire phase. And it was phenomenal. So Ivy, fantastic. Not a new unit, but a different build, and all, like, really good. Talking about a new unit, though, we'll see right here, MVP on Chapter 13, Kagetsu. Kagetsu was a fucking house in this. Like, he got overshadowed by Citrine and Ivy at the very end of the game, when their builds were coming online, and they were just super broken, but Kagetsu with Canter and Speed +5 was one of my best units, because his stats are so fucking good. Like, who thought that was a good idea? Because I want to shake their hand. Kagetsu was fantastic. I can't believe I didn't use him in my first playthrough. Super likable unit. Really great stats. He probably works in a bunch of different physical classes too, not just Wyvern, but I just chose Wyvern because I like flyers. Yeah, it may have something to do with the Edelgard ring being really fucking good, but still a fantastic unit. Really proud of how he came out. Zelkov, in the same vein as Kagetsu, very good. Just not quite as good as Kagetsu. That might have been a growth thing. And it might have been, like, possibly the weapon typings that I chose. I said swords in my first playthrough were, like, really bad, but seeing them on a unit like Kagetsu, kind of see how they can be pretty good. They're really light. A lot of units don't have the build in this game to make axes work. So having that lower weapon weight was really nice. I'm gonna turn the music up just a little bit. This is a little quiet now. The fanfare has quieted a bit. Prepare yourself. From basically here on out, it should be either Ivy or Citrine MVP on every map. But yeah, swords definitely a lot higher on swords now than I used to be as a weapon type in this game. Specifically because, like, you can prop up damage with, like, strength rallies and tonics and, like, putting a Leer adjacent, things like you can pump that up, but you can't pump up build. You can pump up speed, but then you can't pump up accuracy either, and axes and, like, accuracy is a big problem in this game. Like, if you don't have, like, at least some sort of engraving or, like, a hit support or something like that, even swords will struggle to hit 100% accuracy on some enemy types in the late game. So having good accuracy with decent might is pretty big. So that was good. Kagetsu, pretty great. Zelkov, pretty good, but not quite as good as Kagetsu. Still a very good unit, though. Glad I tried him out, because he's also very good. Amber, I feel like was really, really good early on. But then he started to hit those bulk points that were hard for some physical enemies to hit. So he would just get ignored, or his weapon accuracy came into play, so it was hard for him to land swings, and then he would, like, not quite kill, or he'd end up a few damn points short. So I feel like the build, like, trying to go for one-shots with a warrior was not the play. I've seen a lot of people talking about how his strength, adorable. What was I saying? I got sidetracked for a second. Fuck. I was talking about Amber. A lot of people use Amber as a halberdier and abuse the pincer attack class passive to force him to double, and they just slap on the extra thickest stick they can on him and let him slam damage in. So that's probably a build that will work a bit better. I also, if I wanted to turn him into an enemy phase machine, probably would have run him with Ike instead of Hector. Oh no. Rest in peace, Alfred. I think Ike is just better overall for enemy phasing than Hector is. Hector has that one big turn, but Ike also has access to Wrath easily. I think slightly better engaged weapons, though the dragon effectiveness on Armads was really nice for that last map. Hey, yes. Bram, who we just passed by, was fantastic. She was shown extreme favoritism, so maybe this is a lesson in the fact that you can make any unit in this game work, because she was given every stat booster from the DLC stat boosters except for the boots, and she had Tiki almost the entire game, so her growths were through the fucking roof, and she performed very well. She did struggle in some points to hit like doubling thresholds without engaging, and then she'd lose access to 1-2 range because all of Tiki's engaged weapons are 1 range only. But she still did very, very, very well. So I'm very happy with that. But I feel like you could have shown that favoritism to any other unit, and they would have done very well. Like if I had given that stuff to Diamant or Chloe or really any of the units that you would think of that are probably pretty good, probably would have used Tiki better and all those stat boosters better than Fram did. Unfortunately. Like, I'm not saying Fram's a bad unit. Like, she's still fine. And if you did what I did, she probably would have taken a little bit more babying without the DLC stuff. But she still would have turned out pretty okay. Because she's got a pretty good speed growth. But her build just never would have gone anywhere. So she would have been really flimsy the entire game. And would have been weighed down by axes. So, here nor there. She may work decently in a magic class. I don't know. But Fram was pretty good. She overperformed what she should have because of the massive amount of favoritism that she was shown through the game, or throughout the playthrough. I'm gonna throw both. Oh, sorry, we didn't talk about Citrine too. Citrine, I feel like, fills a niche that only she could fulfill. Because of her redonkulous magic. Maybe Anna probably could too, because I think Anna and her have the same magic growth, or Anna's may even be higher. Yeah, like, you need an extremely high magic unit in order to make the build with Reprisal work like that. And she did that with flying colors. Like, it was very evident in the last few maps that Citrine was completely and utterly broken. Only countered by some, we'll call them suspect plays by myself. And she still performed phenomenally. Being able to reach those one-shotting thresholds with the Forged Thoron was relatively easy. Being able to switch that Thoron from a damage engraving to a hit engraving and still be able to reach those thresholds, ridiculous. Without buffs either. Like, majority of the time she was not buffed with Rally Spectrum or Instruct All, and she would just have like a tonic, and then obviously Reprisal, and that's really it. And then the level boost. Look at that. 1 for 1. 1 battle, 1 victory. She's got a 100% win rate. Tamara and... I'm gonna group Tamara and Alchrist in together. I made it... Oh, sorry. We gotta talk about Marin. I keep like, okay, we're gonna talk about these two. But, oh, wait. We gotta talk about a unit that was actually good. Marin, surprisingly good in Mage Knight. Her magic's nothing to write home about, but Crom and Robin specifically adding that 10 magic while engaged pushed her over the top, and she was super fast and able to double a lot of enemy types, and with that extra magic, that's 20 damage a turn if she's doubling, was easily able to bulldoze through a bunch of stuff. With her high speed, she had good avoid. We put an avoid rune on her, or an avoid engraving on her weapon. Made it super easy for her to survive spinning phases. She wasn't invincible. We did have some moments where she would die. But overall, I think Marin's really good. She's probably good in a lot of different builds. I know she's very fast at base. Like, her base, like, speed is very good, growth-wise. But her strength and magic are not. So if you wanted to put Marin in, like, a physical class, you could. You could put her in, like, Warrior or Wyvern. I think those are probably the two best physical classes. Maybe Halberdier if you need the speed, or if you need the doubling passive, but she doesn't need that because she's so fast. So Warrior or Wyvern, probably really great for her for a physical unit. But yeah, overall, good unit. Enjoyed Marin a lot. Now I know we're getting into units that we, I know we're past most of the units that we used. Want to talk about Alchrist and Tamara. I made it abundantly clear throughout the playthrough that I think they both suck. And not even like a little bit, like a lot. A lot. I think they're both terrible. They maybe can function given more favoritism, but it's, do you want to have a good unit with... Like, I could have very easily replaced both of them with better units. I could have run... Who's like a really... Like, I could have run Chloe. I could have run Diamant. I could have run Pandreo. I could have run Penette. Like, all of those units are really, really strong. And way better and more consistent than Alchrist and Tamara. Because both of them is like... pulling the lever on the slot machine and hoping I got to do some damage on a turn. Which is why I just slapped Corrin on Tamara at the very end, because I was like, alright, at least she can hex stuff and lock things in place. Like, that was her entire utility in the late game, because she just fell so far behind. It was bad. Oh, Mavier, still really good. Good job, Mavier. Let's see. Also, Alir. We tried out Alir in a full support build this time, and she functioned quite well. Bring the volume back up to where it normally is. Hopefully it's not too loud. Yeah, we used Alir in a carry combat style build in our first playthrough, and she was quite good. We did Wolf Knight with Roy to kind of pump up her strength. She had killer avoidance, really good, I don't want to say really good damage, but, okay, that's actually a lot louder than I thought it was. I'll turn that back down for now. In the full support build, Alear can still do a little bit of damage, and I'm talking staying in Dragon to carry Byleth, and then once we got a new Dragon unit, switching her to our Lucina carrier as a Chi Adept. Her staff utility was probably fine. We never really got to see it. She would heal here and there, but we had such broken units that we weren't looking to like do a bunch of warp and rescue strats, and if we were trying to do like big warp and rescues, like we did on the second to last map when we fought Lumera. I saw a very familiar name on that list of developers there. The staff utility, when we did need those big movements, we were able to use Hortensia with Micaiah doing so. So that was good. So we didn't really get to see Alear shine with that staff utility, but what she did shine with was the ability to use Bonded Shield on any of my units. I typically was using it on Amber to have him avoid the first swing with Storm's Eye. The only swing with Storm's Eye, mind you. And then double back. But she was able to do it for basically any number of units. If I wanted to, I could have made a murder ball of, like, I don't know, Kagetsu, Fram, Mavier, or Zelkov, and a fourth unit. Any of those like 4 units, any of my big any of my big combat units that weren't Ivy and Citrine off doing their own thing, and just run a murder ball around the map with all of them surrounded by Alear with Bonded Shield. No problem. Or surrounding Alear using Bonded Shield. And it would have been jokes either way. Bonded Shield is super broken ability. Oh, that's adorable. Look at Rosado. Isn't he sweet? Big smiles all around. Yeah, I think that's it for characters. So now I'm going to talk about emblems. To make sure we went through everybody. I don't think there's anyone I'm forgetting. Alright. We're gonna skip through the rest of these. It's very sweet. Very fun. There. I just want to say, look at Micaiah's smile. Isn't she precious? And Lynn. Ah. Okay. I don't believe for a second that they know how fireworks work. We saw all the story bits in the first playthrough. So we're going to save there. And we're going to go into the Somniel and look at
Fire Emblem.
our
Engage.
stuff. Now that I talked through the credits and talked about the units, what the big focus of this playthrough was, though, was the emblems, and I really want to talk about those. Yeah, I hit all the important units that we used. Units that we didn't change in the slightest were Veil. Veil we did nothing different with. Still functioned exactly the same. She carried Byleth around, provided Instruct All and Dance of the Goddess, and then hexed things. Hortensia, we did nothing new with. Oh, we did do something new. We didn't get to Staff Mastery 5. We stopped at 3. That's the only difference. She was literally the exact same unit. Functioned exactly the same, still very well. I didn't talk about Alchrist with Lynn. Lynn usually makes any unit good. Lynn did not make Alchrist good. at all. Not even close. So, I will admit Alcris is underleveled compared to the rest of my units, but there's a reason for that. It's really hard to get XP on a unit that can't fucking kill anything. Alright, I'm gonna stop hating on Alcris and Tamara now. I did not enjoy them as units. I wanted to try them, and I will likely never run them again. And obviously Seedall, we did nothing different with either. We did try running him with Lucina for a bit, because he was a Chi Adept with Bonded Shield, but I don't think we Bonded Shielded with him a single time, and if we did, it was out of extreme desperation. Or memeing. We tend to do both of those things here. So, from the top, we're going to talk about... I'm just going to go down the list here. Soren. Assign Decoy is probably the best ability that I used the least in this run. If I wanted to make Amber work more as a unit, with Hector, or you can make Ike work better for units that are going to ignore your Great Ether, because they deal 0 damage or have 0 hit for whatever reason. Well, they won't have 0 hit because you have Lagu's Friend, but if they deal 0 damage during Great Ether, Assign Decoy will force those units to attack them, up to 3 per turn. So it's not perfect, but Assign Decoy, I said, is probably the ability that I used the least throughout the playthrough in a serious capacity. Like, I probably, like, slapped it on somebody to get bond levels or something while we were leveling up the ring. But it was probably, in the late game especially, I, like, never used. Because Lair is broken as shit. I don't think... Like, I didn't think about it for a long time. And then I got it, and I was like, wait a minute. That's infinite healing during those 4 turns. You can get a lot done in 4 turns, in 5 turns of level 20. We should probably give that a shot. And it was busted. It was absolutely broken. So, not quite as broken as Citrine and Veronica, but we'll get to that. Yeah. Keen Insight, also very good. Block Recovery, basically completely useless. Fun. Cataclysm was good. It had some niche cases, but it's not one of those abilities like Astra Storm where you're going in to engage specifically to use that. Or Great Ether, right? Or even in Kagetsu's case, like Houses Unite. Like, there's never a time where I'm like, yes, I need to engage and use Cataclysm here so that I can debuff 5 dudes. Maximum 5. The fact that it has a little cleaving action going on, where it hits in a plus rather than just on a single target, is nice. We saw it have some application in the final map there. It's a good ability, but it's not like... There were frequently times where I would not use Cataclysm at all. It has use cases, but it's not go in, use it immediately, be sad when I don't have access to it again. It's like, oh, I can use this for some good effect. Okay, cool. Yeah, Soren, all in all, though, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Super easy to use, too. Like, this is not a hard build to make. Bond levels with Roy, bond levels with Lynn. That's it. Press the little plus button on your controller whenever you select Ivy. She gets all blue and glowy, and then she deletes the map when they come at her. Pretty good. Edelgard. I've seen a lot of videos and stuff of people using the Edelgard bracelet to one-turn the paralogs and stuff on Maddening, which is cute and all. It's really cute. Like, they'll use Micaiah with some warp shenanigans to get a couple of units over there, specifically your Byleth user, your Edelgard holder, and, like, your Dancer. And then you can... you can Raging Storm, Houses Unite, plus, adjacent to your Byleth user. Attack, Dance of the Goddess, attack, sorry, okay, hold on, let me restart. Raging Storm, Houses Unite plus, attack. Dance, canter into position, Dance of the Goddess, attack, dance, attack. You could have effectively 5 rounds of combat with one unit, which, if your unit is strong enough and invested enough, will be able to 1 round a health bar, because bosses in this game are actually really balanced. The extra health bars are what make them balanced, because they can give them fair stats, because you'll have to kill them multiple times. In the old games, like in FE6 and stuff like that, I say FE6 because it's the game that I played the most recently prior to this, specifically the ROM hack, which I'm having, Project Ember? Project Ember, yeah. Project Ember, like, in FE6, bosses just had to have giga stats to not die instantly. So you have these bosses that have, like, three lines of HP, and they're really hard to hit because they're sitting on a throne, and they have a ton of defense and a ton of resistance. Like, they're just annoying to fight because you can just sit there and grind into them. Whereas in this game, you can deal a ton of damage to a boss. Like, your units are similar strength. You just have to be able to kill them multiple times. So you have to prepare. And that's where an emblem like Edelgard shines. Also, another thing that was really good, you can't see it right now. I don't know if we can change what ring is displaying with this, with Edelgard. Flame Gambit here. There's the 3 different gambits. There's Flame Gambit, Poison Gambit. This Flame Gambit obviously sets the tile on fire. Had some use cases, kind of niche. If you have it, there's almost no reason not to do it. Same thing with Poison Gambit. It doesn't change your attack in any way, it just applies poison or applies a fire tile. But what's the really broken one was Dimitri's, which is Shield Gambit. And on a flying unit like Kagetsu is, I made him a flyer, but if you have any flying unit, Shielding Gambit is fucking stupid. You negate your first ranged attack taken. If your unit is fast like Kagetsu is, or any other flyer, most flyers will be pretty quick, they're not going to get doubled. So you're negating ranged attacks, basically, which makes you completely safe from bows. Pretty sure it worked on ballistas, like in the Leaf Paralog. I'm like 90% sure it worked, but the only issue is it's not controllable. It randomly switches the ring at the beginning of the phase. There might be some math behind it, some like phases of the moon that you can read to figure out which one of the 3 is going to be available on the following turn, but if you have Shielding Gambit, you can do dangerous things on enemy phase with your flyer because they're no longer dangerous, as they're immune. So, his res, for example, not so hot. It's not terrible, but it's not so hot. Completely safe for magic attacks, too. As long as he's not getting doubled, he's not going to take any damage. So, Shield Gambit was ridiculously busted. Lineage is one of those things that I never really paid attention to. It's not, like, the only reason I paid attention to it one time is because we picked it up on Seedall to get him faster to Special Dance, because I was like, oh, 21, that's when class stuff happens. It's not. 21 is when you can reclass a special class to a promoted class, but you still have to get 5 more levels to in a promoted class to get that. It's random, but you can lock in a Lord for 3 to 4 turns by engaging. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, so if you have Dimitri and then engage, he'll just stay. That's interesting. That's good. Yeah. That's good to know. I didn't know about that interaction. I guess I never really paid attention to it. But it's good. It's good to know. But yeah, Lineage, not something you pay attention to. It's just a free 20% increase XP for your unit. It's good. Free XP is good. Especially on a mode like Maddening, where your XP cut is pretty massive. Weapon Sync is an ability that I fundamentally misunderstood. until I used my eyeballs to read the ability, and then I understood, because it says the first 4 words explain the misunderstanding that I had. If the unit initiates combat, it's a player phase only thing. So it's still really good though, and I think it's one of the driving forces behind the fact that he was able to use swords throughout the entire game, because I could just press the plus button, turn him blue and glow, or purple and glowy in this case, and then he did +7 damage, or +5 with normal weapon sync, but +7 damage with all weapon types. That's an extra 14 damage a turn with doubling, or if you have a brave weapon, quadding adds 28 damage a turn. Like, that's a lot of damage. So weapon sync was pretty good, very, very solid, but it's just a passive damage is nice. The combat arts were all really fantastic. Atrocity still being a double swing while increasing your damage was disgusting. Made him able to double in one round some pretty chunky enemies where he otherwise should not have had any business being able to kill those. So, Atrocity, very good. I feel like Fallen Star was probably the one that has the least application. Maybe not application, because you could do some like really dangerous fly-in Fallen Star. So I'm pretty sure enemies can read the fact that he dodges, and they just ignore it. And that's pretty powerful on Maddening. If I'm thinking about this correctly. If I'm misremembering, ignore this completely. But if I'm correct and they do read Fallen Star's avoidance, they'll just ignore him completely. It's not like one unit's going to attack him to use it and then he's going to get ganged on by 1,000,000. Enemies that can't hit you in Maddening mode ignore you, which is kind of the reason I don't like the covert units as like enemy phasers, because you just hit 0 hit by standing in an avoid tile or something, and enemies are like, alright, well, I can't hit you, so later, loser. But yeah, that's a use case for it, if that is how it works. But I only got to use it a few times, so I'm not sure if it's 100% how it works or not. And then we have the big daddy of the 3. Raging Storm. The busted one. It lets you attack twice. Or not attack twice even, just like have 2 actions. It's really good. The accuracy's kind of shaky if you do the if you do those things where you get the crystals. You can put accuracy crystals on it. Then you can put a hit crystal and like a dex crystal on it to make its hit rate higher. Yeah, very, very strong. Obviously, Houses Unite was really powerful. And then Houses Unite Plus being even better, allowing you to move again after using it. It's ridiculous. Definitely very, very, very powerful ring. 2 for 2 on being really good. Here's where things break down a little bit. I think the Kraven ring is meant for a unit to use the entirety of the ring is meant for a unit that's not magic. Because I used Giga 11 Sword exactly 0 times in the entire run, I think. Maybe once just to see the animation, but other than that, no times did I use this in a serious capacity. Charm is kind of eh. If it was 100%, phenomenal ability. The fact that it bumps up your hit rate with chain attacks to 90 from 80 is eh. It's still not 100% reliable, which is super annoying. It's the same reason why we switch Alir to Chi Adept from Dragon with Lucina, because it changes the hit, or it changes the bonded shield rating from 90% to 100. Like, it's just 90% is awful because they could have just made it 100. I digress. Charm is fine. It's whatever. It's just a passive. With other half, it makes it to where your Robin basically always deals an extra 10% damage. But basically always isn't always, so you can't rely on it, which is annoying. We'll get back to other half in a second, though. Surprise attack, basically useless. It's one of those things like Air Raid, where you get it, it's cool, but you don't think about it a lot, and it's hard to plan around because for the most playthroughs, or for most of the playthrough, it doesn't exist. It's not a real passive, so it doesn't matter. So you don't think about it very often. I'm sure it has some application, but it's very niche. It's okay, but it's not great. I'm kind of jumping around abilities here because I'm talking about them in the order that they're just kind of and I'm getting to the good stuff at the end. Brute Force. 0 application from Erin because she was a Mage Knight the entire time. Like, once she had Kraben, she was a Mage Knight already. So, a physical attack never happened from her. Also, dealing extra damage on a critical, it's kind of shit. But I could see this being useful if you're trying to build like a crit bot style build. If you have a unit that doesn't reach those thresholds of killing basically everything without that extra damage. So if you have an extra slot on a character like Penette or Amber, like someone who's going to have high enough strength, maybe Etier, that's going to have high enough strength to make a Wrath critical build work, but they want extra damage, you can either take Axe Power, and I think Axe Power is probably better just for the consistency, or Brute Force. I think there's a numerical value where Brute Force is going to be better than Axe Power, or maybe even like Reprisal and in a build for the extra damage. But yeah, your Wrath Vantage style builds, this is probably pretty good at. I don't know the math behind it, but at some point it's probably better than just the flat damage from Axe Power. Then we have Other Half. Other Half was the big reason why I put this on Marin, because if you look at Marin's magic right now, it's not very impressive. It's just okay-ge. Like, 26 magic at a level 16 Mage Knight, it's mediocre. So having the plus 10, suddenly making it 36, she has similar magic to Ivy. She has 1 less point of magic than Ivy. Which is really good. So, Other Half was the big driving force behind putting Kraben with her. I don't understand how this unit is supposed to function. Maybe, like, all of these weapons scale like the Rune Sword does, where it's like, it says it's magic damage, but it's actually scaling off of strength and then adding more. I don't know. But this was still really powerful, and enough to make Marin as a Mage Knight feel really good to use. And then Rally Spectrum obviously was a huge player in our final maps, with being able to buff up Ivy, and not even just Ivy, like any unit that needed, like, oh shit, he doesn't double, I can make him double real quick. Boom, Rally Spectrum. Like, it's a brain dead, super easy to use, like, just buff to all your stats. It's instruct all without the limitation of having Byleth be active. Like, it's just good. It is locked to being just Rally Spectrum to the adjacent 4 squares for quite a bit, but once you get to like 17 or 18, which if you're doing actions with Kraben every turn, which you can with rallies, it shouldn't take you long to get to Rallies Plus, where it has the bigger range, which is all it does with that plus versus normal. So, Kraben, maybe not S tier like the other two, but a pretty solid A tier. Like, a really solid ring. Or maybe like B plus, because Rally Spectrum is very, very good, but the rest of the ring just kind of feels like a mishmash of confusing stuff. And again, maybe it's because I just put her on put them on a magic unit, and like on a physical unit they're busted. because it turns all of their damage into magic, and it's like your physical strength hitting against resistance, and it's like, oh, it's so broken, but who knows? Maybe I'll try it in a different playthrough. Hector. Hector was a ring that I was super excited about. I was looking at all of his abilities, and was like, oh man, that's pretty good. And then this stacks with this, and then this makes it to where he can't be doubled, and this makes it to where he doubles back, and oh, this is such good synergy. Oh man, all this stuff is really great. And it is. For one turn. And maybe once we had gotten Alear online for bonded shielding, we could have tried to take Amber into a situation where he could double in one round like an entire army during Storm's Eye. But we had already gotten past that point. There were some key things that were tough for Amber. First is I was really expecting Aspiring Hero to be much better than it was. Its trigger condition is pretty difficult to meet sometimes. Like, you can just sling him out in the... Oop, didn't mean to do that. You can just sling him out into the middle of nowhere and let him fend for himself. But without some defensive help, he's actually pretty fragile. We saw in the last map with the Armads, he had everything all stacked up. He had Alear adjacent. He didn't have Veil adjacent, so I suppose he was -3 true damage away, but he had Alear adjacent, -1 damage taken. He had adaptability plus triggered on defense. He had Armads equipped for an extra 5 defense. He was engaged, so he had impenetrable, and he was still taking a little bit of damage from Wyverns. Now, a little bit of damage is perfect, but that was such a niche case, and there's so much math involved with that, where it makes it really difficult to find that perfect bulk point where he'll be able to get attacked by a bunch of different units and survive the turn without a bonded shield turn. So it's either no defense, get targeted by everything, use bonded shield and be able to crack back really hard, or too much defense, get ignored by some things, and then be able to tank the things that hit a little harder. I think because this game has the smart AI from Conquest where it will just ignore you if you have too high of a void or too high of defense or resistance, rings like Hector and Ike lose a bit of value or just become a lot harder to use. So I don't think Hector is bad. I think the game's mechanics don't lend well to his strengths. So that's my spiel on adaptability and impenetrable. Quicker Post is very good. Amber is a unit that's not very fast, and axes are very heavy. So being able to force your unit to crack back twice, solid skill. If you're in Storm's Eye, or if you somehow manage to get enough speed to not get doubled, you can utilize tools like Bonded Shield or even like a Chain Guard for a single enemy or something like that to make sure that your HP stays above 60% so that you can continue to double attack back. Good. Heavy attack? I talked about this a little bit the other day. Heavy attack feels like it's confused. It says when you're making a physical attack and the equipped weapon's weight exceeds your build, you add the excess to your damage. So, the Silver Great Axe is... Let's see, weapon weight is -3. So it weighs 18 currently, the way I have it engraved. Did I say 13? 18. It weighs 18, the way I have it engraved. So, if I were to attack with Amber, whose build is 15, he would get an extra 3 points of damage added onto his attack. Good. But because Hector gives build, that effectively is removing 2 points of damage from heavy attack's passive. And Silver Great Axe is one of the heaviest weapons of the game. So, if not the, I don't know. It might be the heaviest, but it's one of the heaviest weapons in the game. So, if you have a unit that has decent build, and then Hector piles extra build on top of that, heavy attack suddenly stops doing anything. So, it feels like it's confused, because if Hector gave, I don't know, Dex or something as his fire, or HP even, as his, though that would match Ike's bonds things. So I know they're giving a different bonus because Ike gives those bonuses, so like, okay, well, we'll have Hector give something different, we'll go with build. They did it for the sake of making them give different bonuses, but I feel like maybe they could have switched them even. Like, let Hector give HP and let Ike give build. So, specifically because of this skill, it just feels confused. It's a fine skill, but often you'll find that it doesn't do anything, or it's doing very little. Piercing Glare is an ability I hardly ever use. I used it like once or twice. It's fine. That's all I can really say about it. It can limit his damage intake. Like, if you've got 12 units coming at him, you're like, oh, he's only going to survive 2 of them. You can Piercing Glare in like a choke point, keep things from going into the diagonal squares on him, so only the one directly in front of him and the one right behind that can attack him. That's fine. Other than that, it's good for choke pointing. Choke pointing is not that great in this game. It's got some uses, but it's not a great strategy. You tend to fall really far behind if you're not playing relatively aggressively in this game. Also, consuming 20% of your max HP puts you closer to losing Quicker Post, so that either further increases the value of Bonded Shield, which is great. Bonded Shield is good, it's a good tool to have, and on any serious playthrough you're probably going to have access to it. But you may want it in other situations. So, yeah. Overall, Hector was fine, but I think overall, Hector was the biggest letdown for me. Second biggest letdown for me, but we'll get to that. Because I was so excited for another Ike-style ring, because I enjoyed using Penette so much in my first playthrough with Ike. I was like, oh man, I get a second one of these, this is going to be so cool. And it wound up being just okay. And that was all. We're going to come back to Veronica. Tiki was great. Look at Fram's stats. Isn't she just a fucking monster right now? Star Sphere, turns out, giving your unit plus 15% to all of their growths, including build, is pretty good. Fram wound up with 13 build, which I think was the highest build on my team. Even higher than, maybe Zelkov got a couple of build. He's tied with Zelkov. Amber's is only 12. He's getting plus 3 from Hector. Yeah, so she wound up as the chunkiest unit on my team. Except for, I guess, Saphir's base is 15. So. But, Fram, quite good. Early on, as Warrior, it was tough to keep her attack speed up with really heavy, because axes are really heavy, and her build hadn't taken off, because her base build in Warrior is like 6 or something like that, some really low number. Because I'm pretty sure her personal build base is like 1. She's just a minuscule human being. But that said, she still did perform quite well. She could engage, and using Tiki's weapons, her speed was not reduced in the slightest. So that incredibly high speed that she has, which was also further boosted by the Star Sphere, made her shine. and I feel like I'm talking about Fran a lot right now, but there's not much to say with Tiki. Tiki's weapons are okay. Being able to ignore half of the defense from a unit is really good for Fire Breath. Tail Smash as a smash weapon was just good. It's fine damage. Eternal Claw having good crit was really nice. Made it to where a lot of combat rounds where she wouldn't have one rounded, she could pretty consistently one round because she would have 30 to 40% crit, which was a decent shot of hitting once every 2 combats, at least 1 out of 2 crits, which was enough to let her one round stuff. So it was nice. The weapons were good. One of the worst things about that, though, is every single one of these is locked to 1 range. And if you engage with Tiki, especially at level 20, you are stuck, locked to 1 range for 5 turns. Which really limits your enemy phasing capability. Which basically changes her from an enemy phase unit to a, maybe not a dedicated enemy phase unit, but to a player phase nuke, rather than being able to enemy phase consistently. Because a lot of endgame formations will have like 2 units with a 1 range weapon and another one with a 2 range weapon. And those 1 range weapons will generally hit a lot harder. So it does limit your enemy phasing capabilities a bit. Geosphere was okay. It's not something that you really notice, but you can plan around it to have like some extra bulk on your units, which helps a lot. 5 defense and 5 res is nothing to scoff at when it comes to units like Zelkov or Kagetsu or even Mavier, who are pretty tanky but not like super tanky. It can push them into the, hey, this unit's actually a lot more resilient than I expected them to be, with the additional defense from Geosphere. So that's good. Life Sphere was nothing I really ever paid attention to. There's maybe like a few times where I was like, oh, okay, I can't attack anything with Fran this turn. I can just move up and wait and should be at full health for the next enemy phase or the next player phase. So, it's whatever. We talked about Light Sphere when we first unlocked it. Having the chance of receiving a critical hit when you're already getting a massive boost in luck from Tiki, plus 10 at Bond 20, which is very high. This almost feels unnecessary. And if you're ever receiving critical from this, or with your unit, it's gonna have to be from a killer weapon. And this having the like, I feel like if this removed it, sure, that's great. Basically, just makes her immune to crits. But let's say you would have, with a killer weapon having, we'll say 38, we'll say 40% crit. The 24 luck that we have right here would bring that down to 16%, and then having that is 8, which is still not super inconsistent for you to get hit by. Like, you'll still get hit by an 8% crit relatively frequently. Like, we saw Ivy get crit a lot throughout the playthrough. And she would be hovering around, like, anywhere sub 10% crit from a lot of enemies. So it's just going to feel bad. You're going to be like, oh, I still got crit by that. When it comes to, like, a killer weapon, which you expect to get crit by a killer weapon. But you can get a pretty good amount of crit avoid in this game by, like, stacking dodge from forges or, engravings, skills, and stuff like that. So getting hit by one never feels great, especially if it's a super low percent critical. Always feels really bad. So, and then we have Draconic Form giving plus 10 HP and plus 5 to build in all basic stats. Was actually really big in the like early to mid game when Fram was still coming into her own. But toward the end game, Fram was getting so good that she didn't really want to engage, and there was always that conscious decision of, should I engage or should I just go in and maybe deal with like slightly shaky hit rates of around 80 to 90%, just so that I have access to 2 range or 3 range later on for maybe chain attacking or something like that within the next 5 turns. There was always that debate, whereas in the early to mid game when Fram was our like powerhouse unit, there it was like always, oh, can I engage Fram? Alright, let's do it. So it's definitely an ability that shifted in value as the game progressed. For me anyway, of course. Other than Divine Blessing, hardly ever used it. If there was ever a time where I was like, oh, I want to engage Fram, there was never a time where I was like, oh, I want to engage Fram so I can give this person an extra health bar and do some stupid shit. I hardly ever used this, and if I ever did, it was because I hadn't planned on using Fram for anything else that turn. And I just happened to land next to another unit, be like, oh yeah, I'll do that for the XP. And then, like, the extra comfort down the line, I guess. So Tiki, overall, quite good. She was able to take a unit like Fram and turn her into a physical powerhouse. So I imagine if you put her on any other unit that isn't a physical powerhouse, or even a magical powerhouse, they will be fucking broken. Because Star Sphere is really good. Turns out if you put better growths on a growth unit, they turn out better. Mild shot. Yeah, Tiki, pretty good. But similarly to Crom, or Krobin, like a B+ to A tier. Still very good. If you have it, you should use it. But I would easily run like Ike or Corrin or some of the other like main game unit or main game rings over this one still. Okay. Now the big two. We're gonna talk about Veronica. Veronica was a ring that took me some time to understand how powerful she was. At first I put her on Hortensia, just as like, oh, I'll summon a unit every once in a while and maybe use Contract to let somebody attack again or something like that. Like, then I found a home for Reprisal, and we created the absolute monstrosity that was Citrine on this run. Like, I read Reprisal and I was like, oh, that's actually really strong. That could be a ton of damage. We just need to find a unit that it works on. And it turns out, a unit that can one-shot most of the game with a Forged Thoron is probably a pretty good target for that. And thus was built Citrine. So we'll get back to Reprisal in a little bit. Book of Worlds, more often than not, I was upset when Book of Worlds triggered rather than when it didn't. It was just okay. Like, sometimes it would deal something. There was one time where Book of Death triggered and killed an enemy after... it was when we were fighting Marnie. Yeah, we were fighting Marnie, and she had Roy with Holdout, and then Book of Worlds Death triggered after combat, so she survived with 1 HP. Then it triggered and took that health bar away. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. And there were other times when I had Reprisal set up that I would wait, get in position, and then I attacked, and level 5 triggered, which healed her to full. And I was like, ah, shit, that's so stupid. I didn't want that to happen. Now she's at full health. And Reprisal's turned off. So, Book of Worlds, a very ability. You can probably game it to freeze some enemies in place that you, or like an enemy in place that you want to, but just get a freeze staff or use Corrin. Like, there are better ways to do it than situationally setting up something that requires you to not use your unit for a turn. Level boost is just one of those nice passives to have, with Citrine often translated into 2 or 3 points of magic, which is really good. Nothing really else to say beyond that, though. It triggers on enemy phase, which is really nice for this build. Yeah, that's really it. SP conversion is one of those things where you'll either find a way to break it and get a billion SP out of it, or it's just kind of going to be a decent passive influx. We have so much SP on Citrine. Keeping in mind that we spent 2,000 on inheriting Draconic Hex, 4,000 on getting holdout plus, or 5,000, 4 or 5,000 on this, and like a bit on getting plus speed and vantage, and she still has almost 4,000 at the end of the game. XP conversion is fucking dumb. So it's definitely, if you wanted to build some like ridiculous builds on units, getting this and inheriting it on them early will pay off in dividends if you can feed them kills throughout the game and like consistently get them like a lot of kills per map. In conjunction with the well and stuff like that, you'll get a ton of SP and you can really make those builds shine. But it's either going to be a decent passive for your Veronica carrier for you to finish builds up, or you're going to abuse the fuck out of it, and there's no in between. Contracts is something that I used maybe once or twice throughout the playthrough. It's okay. But the fact that they can't move actually limits its uses quite a bit. So, but overall it's fine. Summon Hero, I was actually very impressed with in the late game, but the most let down by it in the mid game, if that makes sense. In the mid game, your units are still like pretty strong compared to the enemies, but there's a chapter at some point in the middle of the game where enemy bulk jumps significantly, and the unit that you summon has the same stats as the level of the map, or as the enemies in the level of the map that you're on. So you can get some ridiculously good units. Like, we got a hero on one map that was like capped defense, capped res, really good strength and speed. Like, it was really powerful. But our units were already way stronger than them by then. Like, specifically Ivy and Citrine. Like, it would, like, as a pound for pound unit, that hero was better than the majority of my army. But we just had our juggernauts all set up already. So, overall, Veronica's pretty good. I noticed one thing I haven't been talking about a lot is the engage weapons. Most of them are pretty underwhelming. Veronica's were okay. The Hlidskjalf, that's such a scuffed word to say, is interesting because you can attack without taking a counter, which if you don't have a vantage build set up yet, can be really nice for Reprisal, because you can just swing at super low HP and not have to worry about a counter attack. Good. The Elvagar is also pretty good. Nullifying stat bonuses on a target is good for things where maybe like you're fighting Marnie, she's engaged with Roy, so he has level boost. That can be good. Stuff like that. There's not a ton of stat boosts in the game, but it's useful in some areas. But it's not great. It's a high might tome, so it's okay. Infinite reusable fortify, pretty strong. That's actually a really nice weapon. Talking to Hector's weapon, I'm gonna quickly peek back through the weapons here. Wolfbale, good if you're against armors and calves. Usually will make Amber one round, like Great Knights and stuff. Maybe not generals, because they're generally pretty bulky, but he can maybe kill generals with it. Rune Sword, basically useless. Enemy bulk gets so high that even though his strength is really good, the scaling is just so low that it doesn't work out very well. Armads, very useful actually. Effective against dragons, working against wyverns is really good. The fact that it doesn't work on a lot of like the fell dragons was super annoying, but it was very good. When it was useful, it was fantastic. When it wasn't useful, eh. I said, most of the engage weapons are not super good unless you put the work into them, and I don't do that. So, 11 sword thrower and a falchion, basically all useless. I'm pretty sure these scale some weird way with strength. And if they don't, it's still not better than a forged Volcanon. The only weapons I really got use out of outside of their either combat arts or Houses Unite, Ariad Bar was pretty strong. Its high might was really good. It's got medium critical, which is okay, but not something you want to rely on. And Fail not having 2 to 3 range. 3 range is actually really powerful in this game. I would expect that this is actually really good on a backup unit, where you can get additional chain attacks with it at 3 range. But just having 3 range on especially on a flyer, having a bow on a flyer, pretty fucking good. Who would have thought? Literally anyone who's ever played 3 houses before knows this, but bows on a flyer is really powerful. So, Fail Not was quite good. The only weapon, bolting, the hit's just too low. You can't consistently connect with it without, like, either single-minded triggering, which means you've attacked the enemy already, or some sort of hit stacking on Ivy, and at that point, like, just make a different build. Like, being able to consistently hit with bolts, like, it can't follow up. Like, you can never make a double. The damage is just kind of okay. It's just not worth it. Like, it does have 10 range, which is nice, but just let it go. It's fine, but you're never excited when you're using bolting because that just means you're not using Ivy for something better that turn. Reflect, I don't know. Magic in this game on enemies is annoying, but it's not nearly as powerful in their hands as it is in yours, because you have control over what units you send into what. So if you just want to fight a magic unit, send in Citrine, send in Ivy, someone who has good resistance, or pump up someone with a Pure Water or something like that. Like, Reflect is just kind of eh. You're either going to send a unit in that's not taking a ton of damage from it already, in which case Reflect does basically nothing, or you're sending in a unit that's taking a ton of damage, in which case Reflect is going to deal damage to an enemy mage once, maybe twice, before your unit that's getting hit with the Reflect fucking dies. So, it's niche. It's got uses, but I hardly ever used it. And then Rexcalibur was actually the one that I used the most. With Keen Insight, this was actually very, very easily able to one-shot Wyverns and even Griffins, but its accuracy was a little bit shaky on Griffins because of how fast they are. So, all in all, pretty good. But as an engage weapon, pretty replaceable by just a Forged Excalibur. So, it's not super standoutish. Okay, that's all the weapons that we had before. Summon Hero, by the way, just to retouch on this before we leave Veronica here and get onto the final DLC emblem. Summon Hero can be really good, but as in any gacha game, randomness is not great. So, you could get a 5-star, incredible... Like, Karoi had it happen one time whenever he was in the Felxenologue. He summoned a 5-star Camilla, and she swept all the flyers on the bottom half of the map by herself. No problem. That can happen, and that's cool. That's actually a really cool thing. Like, whenever I summoned any of the emblems, I was like, oh, that's neat. Like, I summoned Lucina once, and I had an extra bondage shielder. I summoned Ike once. I summoned, there was a Micaiah once. And had just access to those strong abilities that they have. And it was nice. But it's not consistent. If you summon a 4-star, you're going to get like a promoted unit from the map that you're on. If you summon a 3-star, you're going to be sad about it. Because they're not that good. They're like unpromoted, level capped, with like a shitty weapon. It's just like whatever. So Summon Hero, cool, but not great. Inconsistent. One thing that they can be useful for, though, is baiting enemy formations. Like, you can just summon a hero. Alright, have fun up there. run them into the middle of an enemy formation, they get absolutely fucking dunked on, and then the enemy starts moving toward you. Where some enemy formations in this game are stubborn, like in Conquest. Conquest Lunatic. Well, Conquest on any difficulty, actually, I think, has the smart AI, but if you try to bait one unit, they just won't move. So you'd have to bait, like, the entire formation and find a way to survive that. So you could easily just summon a unit, throw them in there, let them get clapped, and then you can jump on that formation afterward. So, similarly to Lynn's clones, they have a similar, like, I guess, like, cannon fodder-esque thing. Now we have Camilla. The emblem, the single emblem that I was let down by the most. I love Camilla. She's one of my favorite units in Conquest. And I was super excited because you got to see, like, oh, she's got, like, the bolt axe and stuff like that. It's going to be really great. Should be good on a magic unit. And we tried really hard to make it work. Mavier is a really good unit. He's a little bit slow right now. With the speed boost from Camilla, he's still only at 26 speed. That's pretty slow in the end game. You can buff it up, obviously, but he's a little slow boy right now. Speed Taker helps with it, but Mavier's a really strong unit, and he barely makes Camilla work. And even then, doesn't make her work that well. We'll talk about her passives. Dragon Bane is really good. Contrary to Corrin's Dragon Bane is centered on a square adjacent to you, and then it grows outward from her, whereas Camilla's is always centered underneath you. So if you put it on a mystical unit, like Citrine, and you gave Citrine Reprisal as an inherited skill, she could lower her own HP. Well, that's pretty cool. But then you have it on a cavalry unit like this. It's like, oh, I've put water under myself. Well, that's not great. Groundswell helps with that, but it's not incredible. I don't know. Like, it's free 10 HP, I guess. And it puts minus avoid tiles around your unit, which can be useful, I guess. Overall, though, like, depending on the type of unit you put her on, it's probably fine. It's probably... Dragonbane's a good ability. It gives you good control over the map. It can give you, like, healing if you have it on a flyer. I can give you fire, which is really, really powerful for controlling the map with. Those are probably the two best ones, but you can get, like, stone pillars from a backup unit. There's all sorts of applications for it. I think cavalry is probably one of the worst ones, but it's still okay. Yeah, overall, Dragonbane's fine. Decisive Strike is decidedly garbage. It's only useful in, like, scenarios where I talked about Book of Death triggering on Citrine, where it's like, oh, the unit's gonna survive. Well, if I crit, then I can deal damage after combat and kill them then. It's like, okay, well, if you crit, they're probably already dead. And if they're not, what the fuck are you doing? So, good against Roy when he is on Marnie, and I guess in his paralogue. But if you're managing to crit, you should be killing basically any other unit type. Detoxify, super niche. I mean, removing poison is a nice trait, but you're not always going to be getting poisoned. I suppose you can attack into thieves more freely if you have this, but it cures at the start of your turn. So, like, you're still going to have that poison throughout the entire enemy phase, and then it goes away afterward. So it's like, eh? It's whatever. It's not a very good ability. But it's fine. Like, removing poison's fine. Groundswell, kind of talked about it already when we talked about Dragonbane. It's okay. You can remove flames or miasma, other negative effects from the ground just by waiting on top of them, and then you heal yourself. It's like, oh, hey, it's great. But it's only the square, the tile directly underneath you. Like, if it were like a radius around you, that could actually be very, very powerful, because there are some maps that have, like, fog, or miasma, or something detrimental, fire, something detrimental to remove. That would be really nice to get rid of at will in bigger areas. So that's where, like, Groundswell could have been a good ability, but because it's directly underneath you, it's kind of meh. Soar is very strong. +2 movement at a baseline just for being engaged is very good. +2 additional for cavalry, insanely good. It gives Mavier 10 move. 10 move is a ton. So that's really good. It's not quite like Sigurd levels of movement, but it's still really good. It also turns you into a flying unit for the purposes of terrain, but not for the purposes of weapon effectiveness, which is interesting. It makes it to where you can't take terrain bonuses, so you can't gain avoidance from, like, forests or pillars or whatever tile type. But in exchange, you just ignore terrain. Like, you just fly right over it. So, double-edged sword. If you're trying to chunk up on a pillar tile or a forest tile or a healing tile or whatever it is, you're not going to have a good time if you use Camilla for this, but otherwise, for general use, pretty good. I want to talk about Dark Inferno. Dark Inferno is just an okay ability. It's not very strong. It doesn't do a shit ton of damage on its own. But where I found that it shines, and what we saw over the last few maps, was pairing Dark Inferno with an effective weapon can absolutely obliterate some formations. And you might think that the checker pattern is kind of annoying to deal with, but you have to realize there's so many formations in this game where it's like 3 units coming in a V formation. So there's like, it's hard to draw here, but there's like 1 here, and then 1 diagonal and 1 diagonal, which is the correct formation for Dark Inferno to hit. There's a ton of formations that you'll see throughout the game like that. So this can actually be really powerful. And I'm really, really glad we decided to try Hurricane Axe Mavier here, because him being able to... And also, it's an engage ability, so it has a 100% hit rate. It can never miss. So being able to hit 100% accuracy with an effective weapon without taking a counterattack against units like Griffin Knights and Wyverns is really fucking powerful. So that's where I feel like the ability shines. Otherwise, you can chip down a few enemies with it, and then set them up for kills. It's still a fine ability, but it's kind of difficult to dodge. It leaves fire on the ground every checker that it hits, so it can make moving your other units into it hard to do. So chipping down the enemy, then you put fire up and your other units can't reach. It was like, oh fuck, well I fucked it. So overall, niche ability, but pretty okay. Her bonuses are pretty good. Adding speed is nice. HP is pretty good for the fact that you probably want to put her on a magic unit. And magic units' bulk tends to be capped a bit lower. 47 is the max HP for a Mage Knight, and 43 is the max HP for a Sage. So their bulk is pretty low, so having that extra HP is nice. It's the same thing about like putting Corrin on like Pandreo, for example. Yeah, it's nice. So that's my thoughts on the DLC emblems. Overall, I'd say Camilla's probably like a B tier. I'd say Camilla's probably the lowest tier of all of the DLC emblems. Which, being like a B tier emblem, C+ to B tier emblem, still pretty solid. Like, I would definitely put Camilla above, I don't know, not a ton. Like, to be honest, like, she's not a super great emblem by comparison to the others, but, like, I would run Camilla over an emblem like, I don't know, Leaf? Celica? Maybe not Celica, because she does get to teleport. But definitely over Leaf. Probably Roy as well on your team. Roy's okay, but if you don't need the strength that he provides on a unit, eh. So, yeah. I don't think I want to do a tier list, like an actual, like, laid out tier list, but, like, I would say Camilla's pretty good. But not the best. She's definitely an okay, like an average emblem. For all the broken stuff you can do with emblems in this game, Camilla is definitely one of the more fair emblems. Oh, I didn't even talk about her weapons. Got so caught up with the Hurricane Axe memes. Bolt Axe is okay. True to Conquest fashion, it gives you -20 avoid, which is cute, but actually kind of detrimental, because in the late game, your units can actually get very fast and quite dodgy. Like, Ivy with her Forge, like, there were some enemy phases where we didn't even need to be engaged, because she just dodged literally everything. But having -20 avoid on an engaged weapon, where you're losing the bonuses from your normal engraving, and then -20 avoid on top of that, you're basically guaranteed to get hit. So, it's a nice throwback. It's fun. It's like, oh, hey, that's what they did in Conquest. But it just seems kind of pointless for the fact of how bad its hit rate is, and how mediocre its damage is. So, Bolt Axe with Axe Power 3 was not able to one-round generals on the final map. Mavier with a Magic Tonic. Mavier was like 2 or 3 damage per swing off from killing them, so a bit disappointing. But overall, it's okay. But it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, I know Mecha calls it the Ford syndrome, where it's like, oh, he just falls like 1 point short of everything. He just like isn't quite good enough in every scenario. That's how the Bolt Axe feels in this game. It's like just shy of being great. Just quite doesn't work the way you need it to. Or if it does hit hard enough, the accuracy is a bit shaky. It's like 70% hit instead of 100. Like your Bolganon is. So it's just like, I tried. So, Bolt Axe, eh. Lightning, okay. It doesn't have the effect like it does in Fates, where it halves your magic until you attack again. Thank God. It's a Brave Tome. Where it's useful, it's useful. Where it's not, it's not. Like, you obviously don't want to enemy phase with it, but if you can just take out a really bulky enemy, like General or Great Knight, by using this, because you're getting more attacks, yeah, it's good. But otherwise, it's kind of niche. Camilla's Axe, also kind of niche, but very good where it was. Like, where it was good, it was really fucking good. Being able to take high-res enemies and just chop them in half with physical damage, even on a magical unit like Mavier, was insane. Going up to those Chi Adepts, or not Chi Adepts, like the Martial Masters and High Priests, anything that had really good res, and then just completely deleting them in one swing, super satisfying. I think of all of her engage weapons, her final one is the best. I think the Bolt Axe has the most general application, but the Lightning and Camilla's Axe are both very niche, but very, very powerful in the niches that they fill. Okay, I've been talking for like an hour now, probably closer to an hour and a half, about like unit builds and what I learned about this stuff, and just kind of like my thoughts and feelings about the DLC emblems. Overall, I think they're all pretty good. Notably worse ones, Camilla, I think, is notably worse than most of them. Hector also has a bit more niche use. Again, this is my opinion. This is how I feel about them after seeing them in a single playthrough. So if you have different experiences with them, awesome. Glad you enjoyed them. Sorry if you didn't enjoy them. But I think very clearly Soren, Edelgard, Veronica, I think those three in particular were like head and shoulders above the rest in terms of power level. Then Tiki, Crom, and Hector, like the next step down, and then Camilla underneath them. In terms of power level amongst themselves. If I were to do another playthrough right now, where it's like I want the best of the best stuff, I would probably replace Hector, Robin, and Camilla with Ike, Corin, and either Sigurd, Celica, or Roy. One of those three would be the replacements that I would change. Probably Sigurd. Sigurd's still really strong. So those would be my choices for switching out. If I were to just like sit down and be like, I want the best of the best best of the best emblems, that's what it would be. And then my 14 emblems would be the ones that would be on the screen right now, replacing those with those three. So anyway, it is late. It is just now 11 o'clock. I started late. Unfortunately, I'm going to be ending right on time, because I do have to be up for work in the morning. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Starting next week, I have no idea what I'm going to be streaming. I don't know if I want to do another run of this. I do know I want to do some randomized Elden Ring runs. I talked about that earlier when Dib stopped by. If I can get that up and running stably, I'll give that a shot. If not, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll spitball some ideas in the Discord or something like that. See what people want to see. I have a whole bunch of games that I picked up over the winter sale and the summer sale, so I can look into those. I never finished playing Celeste. Could do that. But yeah, I might take a step away from Three Houses, because I have been playing it pretty consistently since it came out in January. Or did I say Three Houses? I meant Engage. I might take a step away from Engage for a bit. Not that I don't find it fun. I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. But I do kind of want to play some other stuff too. So, we'll see. But that's the plan for coming up in the future. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say. I've been talking for a really, really long time. I am going to go to bed. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I will likely not be around at all this weekend. I've got stuff going on tomorrow night. I'm helping some friends finish moving on Saturday after work. So I gotta work on Saturday, I gotta help people move, and then I got plans on Sunday. So probably won't be around at all this weekend. If I am, however, I might spend some time with y'all, and I just stick around doing something. But yeah, until next time, hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday for tomorrow, and enjoy your weekend if I don't see you. And until next time, take care of yourselves, stay beautiful, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. It's a short list. And until next time, bye-bye.